Well, something is not adding up this spring in the housing market, folks, because spring normally brings bidding wars, it brings buyer frenzy, and normally price jumps, and we see prices increase. But Zillow just dropped their latest data, and we're seeing the opposite in many areas of the US, like what you're seeing on my screen right now in Sarasota County, Florida, where home prices are down year over year 8.5%. And it looks like the drop may continue. So this morning on the Housing Nerd, we are diving into the raw Zillow data, and we're taking a look at what this means for the housing market as we move through 2025 spring selling season into the summer. If you're looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate or just on the sidelines, hoping for some type of huge crash, then this video is for you. So that's what we're doing this morning. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the housing nerd. I've been a realtor and investor in Central Ohio for the last 7.5 years. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get started. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at the latest article from Resi Club Analytics. And folks, Resi Club has all other pretenders beat when it comes to housing market data. It just does. They have no particular stance of the housing market. They don't, they're not a doomer. They're not calling, they haven't been calling for a crash now for the last 5 years that hasn't materialized, but they do present data in a way that we can all digest it. And lucky for you, I am a premium member of Resi Club, and I'm passing that information on to you. I have Resi Club's permission to use it. So we're going to look at this latest Zillow data, and then we're going to look at a map of the US. We can see kind of where home prices are up, where home prices are down. This is a pretty good deep dive, and let's get started. So US home prices as measured by Zillow, by the Zillow Value Index, rose 0.7% month over month between March of 2025 and April of 2025. From a historical perspective, that 0.7% increase is softer than normal for this time of year, which is in a seasonally stronger reporting window. Historically speaking, March to April has averaged 0.9% growth month over month since 2000. So a lot of people are looking at this information saying, see, this is the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of a crash. Comment and tell me, do you think this is the beginning of a crash? I'd like to know. And by the way, if you just have a housing market question this morning, I'm happy to help you answer that as well. Or if you just have thoughts on the housing market, we can talk about those items as well. So this chart is fantastic. And like Zillow doesn't put a chart out like this, but Resi Club does. And this shows you the year here on the left-hand side, and then the months at the top. And then it kind of gives you a what they call a heat map. And you can pinpoint how much prices went up or down month over month. And this is pretty, like, to me, really interesting info. First off, when I look at it and I look at the red, because your eyes kind of go to the red sometimes. Back in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2009, you can see the shift in monthly home prices month over month. And so there wasn't like, there weren't many months where prices went down like over 1%. And there were a few, but it wasn't like every month was like a 5% drop. So the fact that if you see a difference of just 0.2 points or 2 basis points, then that's a big shift. And that's what we're seeing now comparatively to historical averages. Meaning, if you look down at 2025 right now, from December to January, the US saw a 0.5% shift down in prices. Now, average is 0.3% down. So they decelerated. They actually fell more than they usually do in January. In February, we saw a shift of down 0.2%. Usually that's flat. That's also a bigger decrease. And look at this. Normally in March, we see an increase. In March, we see an increase of 0.6% year over year. But in 2025, just 0.2. That's a difference of 0.4 points, right? 4 basis points. Then you look at 2025 in April, 0.7. Normally we see a 0.9. So we're under historical averages when it comes to the rate of increase with home prices in the spring. So this spring is definitely softer, no doubt about it. I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting, but tell me what you think. All right. According to our analysis of the Zillow Value Home Index, U.S. home prices are up 0.7% year over year between April 2024 and April 2025. That rate continues to decelerate back to April 2024. The year over year national home price growth was 4.4%. So at one point, basically they're saying, you go back last year over year, we were growing at 4.4% year over year. But now we're only up 0.7% year over year. So in other words, you're not seeing nationally like home prices down year over year in most markets through the US. It's about, I think it's like 40% are down year over year. But the amount of growth for the ones that are up, that is shrinking. So like it's decelerating basically. It's almost like we've been driving at 100 miles an hour for in the housing market for the last few years, right? And foolishly, there are people that thought that's going to continue forever. You know, not naming any names or any industry professionals, but we'll just say realtors, right? A lot of realtors are out there and mortgage professionals too, saying, hey, there's no end to this. Like this, we're going to continue this party forever. Like, you know, just, you know, give me another shot. Let's keep going. The party's never going to end. But real estate's a cyclical thing, right? And so, at least I think it is. I'm told it is anyway. So hopefully there's a cycle at some point and things kind of, you know, come back around and then they'll go back up eventually, right? As Resi Club has documented, we're amid a widespread softening. Widespread softening here doesn't mean home prices are falling in every market. They aren't. Rather, it means home price growth has decelerated across almost every market, and more markets are seeing price declines compared to 1 year ago. That's true. I kind of just said that, right? Now, this chart he has here is, to me, it's very confusing. It's not confusing. It's just hard to present, hard to look at. So we're going to skip down to some more commentary, and then we're going to get to the more graphs and charts that y'all like in a minute. And by the way, if you have a housing market you want me to look at on this video, I'm going to dive into some specific counties here in a minute. On a regional and local level, home price shifts vary significantly right now. Some regional housing markets in states such as Texas, Florida, and Louisiana, where inventory has risen above pre-pandemic 2019 levels, are experiencing mild home price corrections, while tightish, I like that word, inventory markets in some pockets of the Northeast and Midwest remain resilient, with home prices pushing up a little this spring. This is exactly what I'm seeing here in Columbus. This is exactly what I'm seeing in Central Ohio. Like prices are kind of like I won't say they're falling, but they're you know, they're decelerating the price growth. Excuse me. And I'm seeing a little more inventory, but still not great affordable inventory yet. So there's still a lot of people that need to sell. I'm sorry, a lot of people that want to sell versus need to sell right now. And that drives a lot of people nuts. A lot of people get really bajiggity, really upset about like, hey, you know, why aren't these sellers, you know, cutting their price more? They're so unrealistic. I see it in my comments all the time. Well, it's because they don't need to sell. They just don't. So they're like, you know what? I'm just going to sit on my low rate. I'm going to sit on my house price I bought maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. And when someone wants to give me the price I want, I'll buy or I'll sell. But until then, I'm not going to. I'm seeing a lot of that still. You're going to see the distress in new listings, folks. People do not, I say this all the time. You're probably sick of hearing it, but I do not, you're like, if you need to sell your home because you're under distress, like you're like, man, I have to sell my home. Like I can't make these payments. I'm going to be foreclosed on, or I have to sell because I have a medical bills or a divorce or something. They're going to sell their home. They're going to put it on the market. They're going to drop flyers from an airplane. They're going to, put a billboard up. They're going to spray paint on the side of their house for sale, right? They're not going to hide their home from the market is my point. A lot of people think there's like all these hidden listings that somehow people are hiding their listings from the market in hopes that some boogeyman buys it. Not happening. Not happening. If you need to sell your home, not want to sell, you are going to list it everywhere possible, and you're going to price it so that you sell it. You're not going to overprice the home and just sit there and go, oh, well, I guess people just aren't going to pay the price. I'll just sit here at this price forever. Wrong. You're going to put it on the market so it moves because you need the money. Think about your own situation. Have you ever really needed money before? Like been in a position where you're like, I don't have the cash to make my rent payment this month or my mortgage payment. Well, you're going to do what you have to do to get that. And if you need to sell your home, you're going to sell it, is my point. I think if you look at our concentration in Texas, I think if you look at our concentration in Texas and through Florida, and certainly when those markets are a little softer, it's going to cause us to have fewer starts in those markets in response to market condition, says D.R. Horton CEO Paul Romanowski on April 17th, 2025. We have expanded our geographic footprint and some newer markets that are seeing good, stable activity without much supply. And we're expecting some of those markets to grow potentially beyond our expectations. So it really is a balance, but it is market to market and community to community across our platform. Romanowski added that this year's spring selling season, listen to this, started slower than expected as potential home buyers have been more cautious due to continued affordability constraints and declining consumer confidence. We've had to add a little more concessions in the process, depending again, similar to our wholesale market on the competitive environment, market by market. So you should know that overall, I think the discount that D.R. Horton is giving buyers, or the total incentives on new homes, is about 13%. But the thing I took from this little comment here was that it's going to cause us to have fewer starts in those markets in response to market conditions. So I think, and tell me what you think, but I think that we're going to see more and more builders back off of building. I mean, we're seeing starts down. The latest data I looked at showed that starts are actually down year over year, and they're dropping. I think there's a lot of builders that are pulling back on the building. Now, if prices drop on the existing homes that they've built on the new inventory and buyers snatch them up, like a lot of people in my comments say, hey, if prices get low enough, I'll buy a home. Okay, well, if that happens and all that supply gets bought up and then the builders aren't building right now, then what happens? I guess we have less inventory again, I guess. All right, so this, we'll look at this, I'm sorry, that's a metro map right there. We're going to look at, I'm just going to come down a little further here. Okay. When looking through our interactive charts and maps, you'll find some deeper cuts, like since March 2020 and a shift since the 2022 peak. We'll look at these maps in a second, folks. Those cuts are meant to help you put in perspective what's occurring and what has occurred. Keep in mind that some housing markets in the Northeast urban cores are softer right now. In the District of Columbia is down 3% year over year than their metro aggregate Washington, D.C., which is up 2.2%. That highlights real estate is hyperlocal. This was a huge statement, I thought, from Resi Club. A flat or negative month-over-month print for the seasonally stronger March to April window is a telltale sign of a regional housing market that is in what Resi Club calls correction mode. So all y'all who have been waiting for this correction and this crash, maybe this is the beginning of some of that in some markets. Basically, they're saying when historically, we were looking at that historical chart at the beginning, historically, if prices are up month over month or year over year during March and April, and you're seeing now those prices down, well, that's a sign that we are headed for correction, potentially. Interesting stuff, right? I think. All right, so now here's the home price shift in America's 50 largest metros. And I think this is pretty sweet. So let me click this right here. And you can see, hopefully on my screen, so month over month, US up 0.7%. That's it. Shift since the peak up 2%. That's it. Wow. Okay. So since 2022's peak, look at that. Since 2022's peak, we're up only 2% in home prices. So they're decelerating a lot. The growth is decelerating. We're up 43%, basically 44% since March of 2020. That's for the US. But let's go to, let's do this first. Again, Resi Club's like, I don't know. I can't say enough of good things about them. And I don't work for them. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just use their data and it's fantastic. So if you look from a month over month standpoint, using Zillow data, if you look from a month over month standpoint, there's one market that's down over 5% month over month, which is a huge drop. I mean, that's a big drop. You can see down 6.1% month over month, Bennettsville, South Carolina. Right? And then it kind of goes from there, a lot of 1% and less than 1%, right? As far as the worst markets. If I look for year over year, let's see who takes the cake. Greenville, Mississippi, and then Bennettsville, South Carolina, then Big Spring, Texas, down 14%. Vernon, Texas, down, down 13%. A lot of Texas, a lot of Florida, a lot of southern states. I mean, look at the states. They're all in the South, Florida, Southeast, Gulf, Florida, Tennessee, Florida. I mean, like the South and the Gulf market is getting wrecked. Look, holy cow, here's an Ohio city. Look at this, or an Ohio area. Almost said Ohio, but that's kind of how they say it here, Ohio. Jackson, Ohio. I know somebody who lives down there. Down 4.3% year over year. Look at that. Everything else, though, is kind of in the Gulf. Let's look at who's up the most month over month. Look, crazy, right? Grenada, Missouri, Mississippi, Taylorville, Illinois. That one was up 5%. Taylorville, Illinois, up 3%. We got a South Dakota, Illinois, South Dakota, Kentucky. Now year over year, who's up the most? Sunbury, Pennsylvania, Marysville, Kentucky. Look at all these Kentuckys up a lot year over year. What's going on there? Look at that. Look at all these Kentuckys in the top list. Who would have known? Frankfort, Kentucky up at 11%. Mayfield, Kentucky up 10%. What? Oxford, Mississippi. It's just nuts how these different housing markets are like that. Look, here's an Ohio market. Sydney, Ohio. I know somebody lives up there. 7.2% year over year. Now look at this shift since the peak. Who's down the most? Pecos, Texas. Since 2022, when a lot of markets peaked, they're down 43%. Yikes. Who's up the most since the peak? Oxford, Mississippi. So there's areas of Mississippi that are completely like down. Then there's areas of Mississippi that are up a ton. But most of the folks that are up a lot for year over year and up month over month are not in the South, right? You've got Illinois, Wisconsin, Kansas. You got a Georgia in there, though, Kentucky, New Jersey, Wisconsin, New York, Syracuse. You've got Hartford, Connecticut, Princeton, New Jersey, Appleton, Wisconsin, Marysville, Kentucky, man. There's something going on there because it's up a ton. That's crazy. All right. Now, I'm going to do this next. Bear with me on my map as I get it centered. All right. So red is bad, blue is good, meaning this is the 1 year change by county level data. So, but the cool thing is, and this is one of the best parts about Resi Club, how they've changed some of this info, is like I can look at Travis County, Texas, which is, I believe, Austin. You can see 1 year change down 5.6% in sale prices, 2 year change down 9.9%, 3 year change down 19%. I think a crash, to me, a crash is down 20% within the last 5 years or within a 5 year time period. So, I mean, Austin's really close, down 19% in 3 years, but 6 years are still up 38%. So, and then basically since COVID, they're up 29%. So it was going up way before COVID. Interesting. All right, let me look at the comments, see what we got. I'm kind of ignoring you. Good morning. I can tell you're a raw data fan because you say I've been a realtor for 7.5 years. Right. Right. I had to give myself that half year, right? I guess I'm going to have to stop saying that. Maybe I have to look at my anniversary date. Maybe it's 8 years. Actually, it is coming up on 8 years. It is very close. But good morning, Coors Light. Good morning, Stuntfish. How are you? Kenya Robinson, what up? The hidden listings are mostly investors doing hand off the books. It never even hits the MLS. Oh, yeah. Right. But that's a great point, Kenya. Like, I just a few weeks ago transacted a property off market, completely off the MLS. I didn't even list it on the market. I already had a buyer in mind, got the listing, sold it to the buyer before they even it even hit the market. However, if somebody is desperate to sell, they are going to list it everywhere if they can't find a buyer off market. But off market deals happen all the time, and they always have, and they always will. What do you think about the future of the market in Chillicothe, Ohio? Geez, that's pretty specific. You know, it's and I gotta think here. Well, I'm seeing some blowback because Chillicothe is south, right? So I'm seeing some blowback from Airbnbs. I don't know if it'll affect that area at all, because there are Airbnbs down south in Ohio. But I think a small area like that will struggle if they're in the higher price points. In the affordable range for Chillicothe, I think things will be okay overall in the affordable range, whatever that is for Chillicothe. I don't know the actual specific Chillicothe market that well, except to say I know affordable inventory in most of Ohio, including a lot of small areas, is bad. So affordable inventory for Chillicothe, maybe like under 200 grand. Those homes will continue to probably be desirable, especially because a lot of the inventory there is old, as it is in Ohio in general, right? But if a lot of homes were built in like 1910, 1920, 1900, they need a lot of renovation, a lot of deferred maintenance, that hasn't been done to kind of bring them up to speed. That stuff needs to be, if you can find a home in that city or that area that's under the median, maybe an older home that's fixed up, those will probably be desirable for a while, because it's hard to find affordable housing, and there's not a lot of new building in Chillicothe. Overall, I'll tell you, I'm a fan of small towns investing. All my rental properties are in small towns. I like small towns because you can normally find a decent deal, and normally people there still need a good place to live. But good question, Rick. Everyone is talking about Zanesville. Really? How so? Fill me in. No cap production. What's going on in Zanesville? I got some rentals in Zanesville. Maybe that's a good thing. What are they saying? Exactly. What are they saying about Zanesville? Let us know. True. Okay. Thanks, Kenya. Yeah. Thanks for the comments. Okay. Let's keep going here. What else should we, well, you guys are all in Ohio now. So like, or there's some Ohio people on. So let's go into Ohio and see what we got. By the way, I'm going to do an all Ohio update, like a big, maybe I'll do a live or a video. I don't know. You guys comment. And the other thing is, real quick, tell me if this is a good idea. I've been thinking about starting an Ohio only YouTube channel that's just Ohio. The name of this channel used to be Ohio Real Estate. And I changed it because the YouTube algorithm didn't like the Ohio real estate because, you know, just for Ohio people. So I did this, the Housing Nerd channel, to be more of a national channel. But there's a lot of people that want data for just Ohio. So I'm thinking about doing just an all Ohio YouTube channel as a second channel. So you let me know and tell me what you think, if I should do that. All right. So this is Ohio, obviously. Let's look at some of these. Let's look at, well, let me think. What is Chillicothe? Is that Hocking County? I can't remember. But I do know Muskingum County is Zanesville. So what's going on in Zanesville? Well, prices are up 5.4% there year over year, which is a lot considering nationally we're only up 0.7%. So something must be going on there. Must not be in the know. 2-year change up 16%, 3-year change up 18%, 4-year change up 33%, 5-year change up 54%, and it doesn't stop there, folks. 6-year change up 62% for Muskingum County, Ohio, or Zanesville, Ohio. I mean, 62% speaks for itself. Man. I bought all my rentals in Zanesville in 2018. So I guess that's a good thing if you bought rentals there. It's a bad thing if you're a local though and trying to buy a home. That's sad. Like I want my rental or my, you know, assets obviously to increase in value. You obviously do when you buy an asset, but like 62%, that doesn't make any, that's completely ridiculous. That doesn't help anybody. I just rather see normal growth, you know, 4 or 5% a year, fine. Licking County, that's where I live. 2% year over year. That's slowing down, definitely. 2-year change 9, 3-year change 16, 6-year change 63.9%. What? Man, Ohio is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I have some rentals in Knox County. I know Knox County well. It's Mount Vernon, Ohio. Change up 62%. Goodness. Franklin County. That's where Columbus is. 1-year change up 2%, 6-year change up 60%. Delaware County up 2%, 6-year change up 50%. Delaware County is one of the more wealthy counties in Ohio. Let's go up north to Cleveland, Believeland, Cuyahoga County, 55% in the last 6 years. 1-year change 5.5%. What about Hamilton County, right? Where Cincinnati is. 1-year change 3%, 6-year change 53%. So, whoop, zoom out here for you. So you look at Ohio, there's not really a lot of pain. I mean, there's a couple areas like Morgan County was only up 0.2%. Hocking County down. So this is where a lot of Airbnb pain is in Ohio, is Hocking County. I mean, people bought these Airbnbs and they don't, you got to wonder what they think. They don't, well, they're not thinking, right? Like they're just not thinking at all. They're like, oh, I have an Airbnb in Hocking Hills. It's like, great. But if it doesn't make cash, if it doesn't produce cash flow, then it's just a hobby. There's that Jackson, Ohio, down 0.7%. Pike County up 0.9%. Harrison County up 0.2%. I want to know what they're saying about Zanesville. You guys said something about Zanesville, Ohio. I want to know. What are they saying about Zanesville? What's the big hubbub? Anyway, that's Ohio. But I'm going to do a deep dive in Ohio here in the next few days, maybe by, sorry. All right, let's go to some pain here. Pain, where's the pain? Charlotte County, Florida, down 9% year over year. 2-year change down 11. 3-year change down 7. So it was like down and then went down further and then went back up, right? Because it was like 7, 11, 9 as far as year over year growth. 6-year shift. I got to be careful when I say this because I don't want to get banded, as my kid would say, from YouTube. 50% over 6 years. But look at the shift since the peak. Down 15% since 2022. Collier County, Florida. Look at this, down 6.5 in 1 year, down 4% 2 year. Shift since the 2022 peak, down 5%. But they're still up 63% in 6 years. So like a lot of these markets, you can tell what happened, right? Like prices went up a ton. And in some areas with it that have a lot of supply now, prices are going down. So one of the things, like somebody earlier asked about an area called Chillicothe, Ohio, which probably no one knows about except the person who asked and me. A little tiny area of Ohio. Well, prices there probably went up 50, 60% in the last 6 years, but there's no new building there. Like they're not building any homes in Chillicothe, Ohio. So the supply is all depending on resale supply. And if people aren't willing to put their homes on the market, those price gains may sit there for a long time. Whereas in Florida, you got a bunch of new construction. So you're going to see prices come down as supply gets built, right? But let's keep going here and let's look at that. Hillsborough County, Florida. 1 year change down 3%. 6 year change down 65%. No, not down, up 65. 6 year change. Sorry, my bad. Bertie County, North Carolina. I'm not sure what city is there, but it's down 8, call it 9% in 1 year. 6 year change only 15% up. So like in this county in North Carolina, like you would, if you bought in the last 6 years, your home price, your home value could be down. And if you bought 6 years ago, you're only up 15%. That's crazy. What about Mecklenburg County? That's where Charlotte is, I believe, right? Where is that? Where is that? I can't remember where it is. Dang it. Where are you? Where are you? This is why counties are difficult for me sometimes, because I don't know my geography like I should. Come on. It's like over here, isn't it? Huh? I can't find it. Oh, there it is. There you go. So this is Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, 0.2% up year over year, 2 year change, 5.9, 3 year change, 7.3, 4 year change, 34, 5 year change, 55, and 6 year change, 64%. So, I mean, you can see the price gain, though, is decelerating big time. Like it went from, well, 64, 55, 34, 7, 5, and now 0.2. Probably because of more new construction, I would imagine. Horry County, South Carolina, which I believe is Myrtle Beach. Pretty sure it is. Down 1 year change, down 2.7%. 2 year change, down 0.4. 3 year change, up 6%. 4 up 35. 6 year change, up 58%. So if you bought 6 years ago, life's good. My sister actually lives in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I think she bought her home like, yeah, I think it was, maybe it was over 6 years ago or right around 6 years ago, a new build. And nice home. She retired down there. And so, yeah, they got in at the right time, right? But if you're buying right now, or you bought in the last 2 years, your home price is maybe, your value is maybe sideways, maybe down a little bit. Not the end of the world, but some people think it is, I guess. What else we got? Where should I go? Buchanan County, Virginia, down 7.9%. Man, they've been down for the last 4 years. Look at that. 7, 5, 2, 5. Like, they haven't had growth. I mean, only 14% in the last 6 years. It's crazy. An area like that, if you buy a home, you just got to realize, all right, I'm buying this home. I'm going to be here for 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe I pass it on to my kids, whatever. But don't think you're going to like buy a home and then all of a sudden sell it in 2 years and reap like a ton of reward. Ain't going to happen, because the prices just they don't move like that in that area. But not a lot of pain when you zoom out overall. And if you have an area you want me to look at, let me know. And I'm happy to do it. Sorry, I had to navigate the map. When you look overall and just zoom out, you can see where the pain is. South Texas, right? A little pain out west. One up in the Northeast. Look at this. Essex County, New York. Down 9% in a 1 year. 2 years down 1%. I wonder what's going on in Essex County, New York. Essex County, New York. Hard to say. Franklin County, New York, barely up. Let's do, let me look at some comments. John Doe, could you please look at Galvin counties in Michigan? Galvin and Clare. Okay. So I will. I'm happy to do it, John Doe. Whoops. But it's going to, let's see. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Look, I got lucky. That's one of the ones that you wanted me to look at, right? Claire and Gladwin. All right. There's Claire. 1 year change up 5%, 2 year change up 7%, call it 8, 3 year change 8%, 4 year change 22%. Okay. 5 year change 46, and 6 year change 56%. So year over year, you're still growing at a good clip, 5%. Michigan's like, it seems like a lot of areas in Michigan are really resilient. Seems like prices continue to go up there. At least that's what I'm seeing. I don't know. It's what's the other one? Galdwin? Is that how it was pronounced? Where's that one? Maybe it's right next door. I wish I could search. Oh, here it's right next door. I wish I could search for a county on this map, but I can't. 1 year change, 3.8, 2, 6.4. 3 year change, 5.8. 4 year change, 19, call it 20%. 5 year change, 32, and 6 year change, 42%. Now, on average, I think historically, year over year, we're like in the 5% range for real estate. If you go back historically, like 2-3 decades. Well, if that's true, then 6 years times 5, so that's 30%, right? So you're at 42 over 6 years. So it's up more than you would if you had historical averages, but it's still up 42% in the last 6 years. Huh. Are you trying to buy a house there, John Doe, or sell a house, or look to invest there? I'm just curious what you're doing there. Recall, makes sense. Thanks. I don't see any construction around here. No, none. Oh, I'm sorry. Leave that up. Rick, you're right. He's talking about a little town in Ohio. What's going to happen with the market? Yeah, there's no new construction. So like every home is probably built, before 1950, certainly, right? And so I guess one of the things I think a lot of people have mentioned, and one of the theories out there, like in a state like Ohio, where you're going to have a bunch of people move from those small cities to larger areas, and it's going to kind of consolidate, because those small areas, number one, there's unfortunately not a lot of jobs, and number two, the inventory is so old that you need money to fix it up. So you have to buy it at such a discount that it's almost unrealistic sometimes to pay. you know let's be honest, like an area like Chillicothe, you may have to score a home at 50 grand, which sounds insane to some people probably. In other areas of the country, they're like, 50 grand, what? Yeah, you may have to pay 50 grand for a house and then put 100 into it to end up at $150,000 all in, and the home maybe is worth at that point 200 grand. That seems to be like normal, like a normal deal, I guess. Will you please look at Johnson County, Texas? Sure. Johnson County, Texas. Well, I don't know where that is. You're going to have to tell me. So tell me where Johnson. Okay, so I got to revise my request, or my how you guys do this. Tell me the county, but then tell me where it is in the county, like center, northeast, southeast, south, whatever. Because otherwise, a lot of these I'm just going to click around until I find it, and people don't want to see that. So tell me where it is. What about Northern Virginia? That helps me. Let's look at that. That's a great one. Thank you, Skyride. That's a great one. Some of the names on YouTube, by the way, are like, they're just really interesting. Like Skyride. What is that? Like, why do you have a name Skyride? I'd like to know. Do you like run like are you like a pilot or something? Who knows? Let's look at Virginia here. Northern Virginia. Yeah, good one. You said Fairfax County. I saw that on there. 1 year up 4.3, 2 year up 12, 3 year 10, 4 year 19 or 20, 5 year change 31, 6 year change 39. It'd be nice if Lance rounded these on Resi Club. I'm going to ask him about that. I just want to make a note to ask Lance to round these. It'd be nice. But yeah, so 6 year change up 38.6 in Fairfax County. What was the other one you wanted? No, it wasn't this one. Let me see. Let me see which other one you wanted. Fairfax, Arlington County, Alexandria. Arlington County, where's that? I got Frederick, Hardy, West Virginia, Shenandoah. Well, I did Fairfax. Yeah. That's what you're going to get, I think, because I can't find it. Is it all in the northern area? Am I just missing this? But there's Fairfax. Hopefully that helped. I never thought I'd have to pass my geography test again to figure this out. Paulding County, Georgia, West Georgia. Okay, that gave me a clue. The joy of lives, right? Spalding, right there. Look, check it out. I found it. Spalding County, Georgia. 1 year change, down 1.1%. Two-year change up 3.8, 3-year change 10%, 4-year change 32, 5-year change 57. Look at 6 years. That's the highest we've seen so far today. 71.9, call it 72% 6-year change up in home values. Wow. What's up with Spalding? It's going down now, month or year over year. But I mean, this, like, to me, that shows the exact thing that's happening overall in the US, I think, where things were nuts and then they just decelerated down, right, over time. Obviously, right? I mean, it's not going to stay at that type of growth forever. You just can't. But it's certainly up a lot. I mean, it's going to fall 71%. I don't know. I mean, that's a big drop. Remember, during the GFC, a lot of people think that the pain was like bad through the whole US. But there are markets during the GFC where prices went up. Pittsburgh, PA went up 5% during the GFC, 5% in home values. Riverside County, California went down 50%. Columbus, Ohio went down 11%. So it wasn't carnage everywhere necessarily. And there weren't many areas that went down more than 50%. A few major areas, but not many. So I think a lot of the predictions of the crash or the wants of how much home prices are going to drop, maybe a little, steal somebody else's line. I think there's maybe too much over optimism and reckless enthusiasm with how much home prices could fall. But that's me. All right, what's up, Stuntfish? Let's see. If you can find Arkansas, the very top left of the corner should be Benton County, Arkansas. Oh, that's is Benton County, Arkansas, where Walmart is? Is that Bentonville? I'm just guessing. I've only been there once. Look at this. Oh, now we have a new winner. Ding, ding, ding. 6-year change in home values. 80.9%. I don't know if you can hear that bird back behind me, but he's like, what? 80%. 5-year change, 70%. 4-year change. I mean, what in the world? Now look at the 1-year change, 4.1. So like prices are still going up there. Is that where you live? I'm speechless. I mean, 80%. That's just crazy. Crazy. Wow. Wowee. 80%. It's hard to even really comprehend that. Can you look at Florida, Fort Myers? So is that on the west side, right? Lee County, which is on the west side, right? Yeah, west side. All right, let me go down. Lee, Citrus County, Hernando. Lee County, Florida. There we go. Look at that. Down 7.8% year over year for 1 year. Down 8% the last 2 years. 3-year change, 3% down over the last 3 years. 4-year change, though, 34. Look at the change from year 4 to year 3. Look at the difference in growth. Jeez Louise. Wow. 34% in 1 year, you were up year over year. Then the next year, you were down 2.9%. So if you bought like right in that pocket, that would be the, somebody who got caught, I guess, with the market going down. But again, unless you're going to sell your home immediately, or you're like, I'm not going to be able to afford this for very much longer. I'm going to buy a house and hopefully get out of it soon. You just need to stay in the house and do some painting, or, maybe put a new bathroom floor in. I don't know. Do it yourself. Improve the house without moving. 6-year change, 54%. So people who bought 6 years ago or before are still up. This is why, look, you're going to run into people let me go back to Lee County here. This is kind of cool. You're going to run into people in different ways, like at parties and barbecues and whatnot this summer. And the people are going to be talking about the housing market, obviously. But if you're paying attention to this data, you can easily explain that, hey, this is why people are not listing their homes for sale if they bought them 8 years ago. This is called the lock-in effect. This is called the golden handcuffs. And there's a lot of people that don't like this. They get upset about it. They're like, they don't want to believe it because they didn't buy 8 years ago. And so now they're like, well, they just don't like the fact that people had bought 8 years ago. Their home values are up 50 some percent. Even with the downdraft we've had in the last year, look at that. The home value is still up over 50% for these people who bought 6, 7, 8 years ago or longer. That's why they're not moving. Would you? I wouldn't. I'm not. I bought over 6 years ago. There's no way I'm going to move. It would take like hypnosis by aliens to get me to move. It's not going to happen. So this is why, I mean, this is so easy to explain to people and just show them. And then ask them practically, would you move if your home value went up? You bought 6 years ago, your home value is up 54%, and you've got a 3% interest rate. Well, no, I wouldn't move. Right. That's why people aren't moving. That's why there's a lot of want to sell people, not need to sell. That's why you're seeing home prices, the price cuts are there, but they're not cutting them to the bone so that people are like, look at that discount, I'm going to go buy the house. When you see that, then you'll know there's distress. But until then, it's just like, kind of messing around. Not enough pain yet. Will it come? Sure, it could. Hey, good suggestion there. Chris, hey, what's up, Chris? What's your advice for investing in some of these markets? What if you're a first-time buyer or first-time investor? You mean the markets that are going down? Well, for the markets that are going down, or if you're in a market where you're seeing prices soften, and if you're someone who thinks prices are going to crash and burn, by the way, great question, Chris, then make offers at the level you think they should be at. Like if you're like, hey, home prices are elevated by 30% in my market, then make offers at 30% off. Test your theory. If you really think there's pain in the market, make offers accordingly. But if you're if you're an investor, if you're a flipper and you're in one of these markets that's going down, it's softening, man, you should absolutely be very cautious, because when you put your numbers together, you've got to build in a lot of cushion for correction. If you're a buy and hold investor, better make sure that you're not assuming rents are going to continue to go up forever at a crazy pace. Build in zero rent growth. What happens if rent drops 5%, 10%? Can the thing still cash flow? So that's what I would do. As a first-time buyer, if I'm wanting to spend a long time in that residence, or I want to be there a while and I'm good with that, then hunt for an opportunity that is discounted. And there are ways to do that, obviously. But then be okay with the market going down. Just be okay with it. Be like, hey, if the prices and values fall 20%, if I buy right, life's good. I'm all good. And I'm going to stay here for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. And buy affordably. Don't stretch yourself and have the realistic expectations, right? A great question. I hope that is what you wanted to know. Fair amount of building in Eastern Tennessee. Already lots of price cuts. A realtor told me the household income needed to purchase a house in the area was $104,000, way above the household income for the area. Yeah, a lot of building is going to soften prices. A lot of building will soften prices. Let's look at your Eastern. Let me look. Whoops. Let's look at your Eastern Tennessee. What do we got? You can't see that, can you? Crockett County. Well, here's Lauderdale County, Tennessee. Oh, you said Eastern Tennessee, didn't you? Yeah, my bad. Eastern Tennessee. Davidson County. Well, that's North Carolina. Huh. Try this again. Sevier County, Tennessee. I think this is one of the areas that was hit by the hurricane, right? 6-year change, 77%. 1-year change up 5%. Whoops, I'm sorry. Wrong one. Sevier County, Tennessee, up 75%, didn't matter. Up 75%, but 3-year change down 6, 2-year change 3, 1-year change 4. Down 4, down 4, down 6. Wow, okay. Cook County, Tennessee. 6-year change up 53%. Knox County, Tennessee. What? Look at this. 6-year change. 92%. That's the biggest one I've ever seen. 92% 6-year change. Wow. Huh. Only up 1.5% year over year. Blount County, Tennessee, up 88%. Monroe County, Tennessee, up 60% in 5 years or 6 years. And all these are up year over year. I mean, yeah, Eastern Tennessee is crazy. And I think a lot of this was where it was hit, right? Where the hurricane hit. Johnson County, Tennessee, 6-year change up 67%. 1-year change up 5%. No crash at all there. I mean, overall in the county anyway. Wow. That's crazy. I didn't expect to see that. Up 90%. What in the world? South Fort Worth. Yeah, I can't do I can just do the Dallas area, but I can't do and Dallas is what county is Dallas? I just got to Google it. Oh, Dallas County. Huh. Duh. Where is that? Dallas is like up here, isn't it? Where is 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 it? Lee. Isn't it up here? There it is. Dallas County, Texas. 6-year change, 46%. Look at the 1-year change, though. Down 3%. 2-year change, down 0.8%. Shift since the peak, down 3.4. So it peaked in 2022 in Dallas County, Texas. And since then, it's down 3.4%. I mean, even though prices went up 46% in 6 years in Dallas County, Texas, that's a moderate gain compared to where we just were in Tennessee, where it was up 90%. Man, these different markets are interesting. Thanks for that, Dallas. Aledo, Texas Twins. Is that what it says? Aledo, Texas, something like that. I did Fort Myers. I did that. Arlington is southeast of Fairfax. Oh, I'll go back there. My fault. Arlington is east of Fairfax. So I was right here. Oh, east. Jeez, Jason. What? Ah, you're right. My bad. Yeah, it's going to be Rick around here, right? This Newport News. That's like Virginia Beach, right? Arlington. I still can't find it. Must be, it's like, must be really tiny. Is it right here? There's the District of Columbia. Oh, Alexandria City. Well, yeah, look at the District of Columbia. Down in 1 year, down 3%. I'm like 3%. 2-year change down 4%. 3-year change down 9%. 4-year change down 5%. Look at the 6-year change in DC. And this is really interesting because when I look at it using Redfin data, they show that there hasn't been a price decline there. But that's because they're looking at the metro of Washington, D.C. But if you look at this little micro area of the District of Columbia, 6-year change is only 3.9%, meaning go all the way back 6 years, homes have only appreciated 3.9%. They haven't even kept up with inflation. And if 3 years ago, if you bought, you're down 9%. So if you're looking, like if I want to buy an investment property or if I want to buy my first home and I'm in this area, District of Columbia, man, I'm lobbing in some like crazy insulting offers. Like if you, I mean, you know, yeah, I'm lobbing in some seriously low offers, depending on what my micro market says, right? But still, I mean, that's a big shift. And the weird thing is, it's not red. Like if I zoom into that little square there, you probably can't even see it, but it's like brownish beige, because even though home prices have been going down, look, there's Arlington. We've just been talking about it. It's really tiny. Even though prices have been going down the last 3 or 4 years, like it hasn't been a drastic drop. That's why it's not red, because it's not year over year. It's not a drastic drop. There's Arlington, Virginia. Thanks. Sorry it took so long to find that. Thank you for the direction. 6-year change 25%. 5-year change 15. 4-year change 9. 3-year change 5. 2-year change up 8. 1-year change up 3. So it doesn't look like it's crashing in Arlington, Virginia, but the District of Columbia prices are down a ton comparatively. Wow. Huh. Well, thanks for showing us that or mentioning that, because that was definitely different. South Fort Worth is where Johnson City is. Johnson County, my fault. So Dallas was like, oh, there, I got it right there. Johnson County, Texas, down 0.8% year over year. 2-year change 1, 3-year change 2, 4-year change 25, 5-year change 41, 6-year change 50. They'll still have 50% in 6 years, but now you're starting to soften. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that in many markets through the U.S., just a deceleration of home prices. No, Paulding, not Spalding. Paulding is west of Atlanta. Oh. Paulding, not Spalding. Oh, that's Spalding, but you wanted Paulding. It's like that, isn't? Come on, Jay. I got Spalding all day long, but you're looking at Paulding. Where is it here? Because it's, you said, oh, I found it. Sweet. See, now when I need to go to Paulding, I'll know exactly where it is. 1-year change down 1.6, 2-year change down 0.3, 3-year change up 1.7, 4 up 3, 31.9, 5-year change up 53, 6-year change up 64%. Like a lot of other areas, up a lot over the last 6 years, but then that deceleration started, and now you're down year over year. So that's what we're seeing in a lot of markets. Again, if you're in a market or you want to buy, somebody asked this question, Chris did. If you want to buy in a market where the prices are falling, well, timing the bottom of the market is incredibly difficult, right? I mean, real estate's, obviously hyper local, but it's timing, it's very difficult. So I think the tendency is to say, well, it may drop further, so I better wait because I can get a better deal. Instead of doing that, just make an offer where you think homes should be valued and keep doing that. Eventually, you'll find somebody to bite, eventually. And also be willing to take a house that maybe needs some work. But if the house is listed for 400 grand, maybe your offer is 250. I don't know. If you think home prices are going to drop that much, prove it. Test your theory. I think there's a lot of people that want home prices to drop, but they're never going to buy a house, which is fine. It's just kind of entertainment and carnage, right? But if you're serious about buying or you're serious about investing, you got to make offers consistently at the price that makes sense for you, regardless of what the market says. So if your price point is 50% under the retail prices now, well, make offers at 50% off. You may not land one, but do it enough. And if the market starts to correct more, somebody's going to say yes. That's my opinion. Looking at the Resi year-over-year change map, I didn't realize nationally how common it is to have one county dark red and another county dark blue next to each other. Yeah, Coors Light, great point. Yeah, what you're pointing to, I think, is absolutely correct. Like, yeah, what Coors Light's pointing to is that there's a red area like Essex County, New York. Whoops. Jeez. Like Essex County, New York. Tough for me to say. That's next to a blue area where prices are still up, right? So you got red next to blue. Yeah, it really kind of tells you the county level stuff is pretty good. Now, Lance also puts out a zip code level map, but that one, my friends, is a nightmare to look at because you're literally looking around unless you know exactly where the zip code is on a very local level. Very difficult to use that map. He published it one time a few months ago, and I used it, and it was a disaster in the live because I couldn't navigate it. But that really shows you what's going on. If you here in Ohio, in Central Ohio, I break it down by not by zip code, but by school district for people here locally because I have access to the MLS, and that even tells you more. All right. Yep, crazy how hyper local real estate is. It is. It is. Crime also varies a lot by locale. Yes, it does. I'm a digital nomad, but yes, live around Benton County, Arkansas currently. Is that Walmart? I think it is, right? What is that? Plige? Is that how you say that? Plig? County, Florida? Where is that? Can you tell me where it is? Like where in the state? More houses are showing up for sale in Phoenix, but prices have risen 100% in just the last 5 years. They're sitting on the market longer, but sellers aren't coming down with their prices. Yeah, we haven't looked at any West Coast stuff, probably because they're all still in bed, right? One of the more frustrating things about living on the West Coast, because I did for a while, I lived in Seattle and in Southern California, is by the time you get up in the morning, it feels like the world's way ahead of you. I hated that. I hated that. I hated waking up at, 6 a.m. and it's already 9 a.m. on the East Coast. And so I would get to the office at 6 sometimes in the job I had, and I already felt like I was behind for the day. I couldn't stand that. Conversely, I loved it when I had when I was had a sales team that I was running, and I lived in the East, and a lot of them lived in the West, because you could get up at 5 a.m. and for them they're it's 2 a.m. So you could get a bunch of stuff done and be way ahead of them before they got up in the morning. So that's probably why nobody's on right now. Let's look at what's it called? That was a rant about nothing. Maricopa County, right? That's where Phoenix is. Down 2% year over year, Well, prices aren't up 100% there. In 6 years, are up 60%. But I get your point. They're up a lot. But now they're down a little bit. They're actually down in, look at that, down in 3-year change. So 2022, they actually dropped 3.5% year over year. Then they went up 2.3. Now they're down 2.1 year over year. How about while we're here, let's look at Clark County, Nevada, right? Clark County, Nevada, where Las Vegas is, 6-year change 50%, 1-year change 3.5%. Let's look at San Bernardino, California, because this was one of the bigger crashes during the GFC. 6-year change 56%, 1-year change 1.6%. So they haven't come down yet. What about Riverside? 56%, 6-year change, 1-year change up 0.7. This area, let me see. Like south of Sacramento, like Modesto area, which I think is San Joaquin, I think that was the biggest drop I saw on the map for the GFC as far as larger metros. I think it was Modesto, and I think it was like 65% they lost during the GFC. So that was the biggest. 6-year change down or up 40% in San Joaquin, California. 1-year change up 0.2. Excuse me. Santa Barbara up 61% in 6 years, 1.1% year over year. Los Angeles County up 42% in 6 years, 1-year change 2%. So no crash there yet. Orange County 66%. Man, Orange County is so expensive. 6-year change, 1-year change up 6%. Wow, that's a lot. Home prices there are they just keep going. They keep going. San Diego County 59%, 6-year change, 1-year change up 9%. All right, a few more and I have to end this. Where can we access to that data? To this data? Well, there's 2 ways to access what I'm looking at. One is that you can subscribe to Resi Club. So this is a premium. There's a link in my description, in the YouTube description. There's a link for this article. So once a month, Resi Club will put this data out, and they use Zillow data to do that. The good news is, if you don't want to pay for the Resi Club subscription, because I think now it's $300 a year. If you don't want to pay to their premium subscription, then you can go to the Zillow data center, the raw data from Zillow on Zillow's website, and download historical price information for every metro and every county in the US. Yeah, you can do that. It's free. Then what you can do is either look at it in Excel, the download, you look at the data in Excel, or you can put it into ChatGPT. Depending on how you format it, you can put it into ChatGPT, into AI, and ask it questions about the data. You need to be careful there, because ChatGPT sometimes doesn't look at the dates right. You could do that. You could also, if you get really nerdy like me, you can put it into Data Wrapper, which is free. So Data Wrapper created this map. You can download the raw data and do exactly what Lance did from Resi Club here and put it into a map. But to me, it's worth paying the $300 a year to have access to the data. For you, if that's not what you want to do, you could just go into the raw Zillow data and download it, and then look at your area. And it goes all the way back to 1996, I think, which is really cool, because you can look at like what happened during the GFC, before the GFC, after the GFC, by metro, by county. So hopefully that helped you, Chris. But Polk County, Florida, Lakeland, Florida. See that? Do you have a way to look at subdivision in another state or city? No, I don't. I do not. I'm sorry. I'll put this back up. Alito, no, you're going to have to use, unfortunately, well, if you really want to pay attention to a particular area like a subdivision, you could theoretically do it for free and without contacting an agent or a realtor if you use Zillow, and go onto Zillow on a regular basis, like every other day, every week, whatever you want. Look, like you can draw a line around the subdivision, save that search, and on a regular schedule, like I said, every day, every other day, every week, go in and look at how many listings you have in that market and look at the prices and track them manually, like on a spreadsheet, like Google Sheets or Excel. You could do that. Obviously, that takes a lot of work, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do. But then the other way is to get with a realtor in that specific market and have them send you the data you want. And it may take a few calls. It may take some hunting to find someone who is willing to do that work. Not every agent is willing to do that work for you, but they should be able to, and hopefully you find somebody that will. But that's my answer. I don't have it in a subdivision level. I wish I did. I do think Zillow raw data will show it by zip code, though, like I said earlier, and you can download that. So zip code level could work, potentially. Maybe that works for you, but that's not subdivision. Charlotte, I got Charlotte already earlier, Michelle, but thank you. Yeah, I did Mecklenburg County earlier on the video, so watch that. Yeah, this is true. What sucks is Texas is also a non-disclosure state. Ah, right. So you almost are forced to use a realtor, almost. The only other workaround would be to like subscribe to PropStream. That's in my description below. It's a real estate software that I use sometimes, and it's not cheap at all. It's like $110 a month, but it's called PropStream, P-R-O-P stream. Even in non-disclosure states, they have all the data. So you can still look at that as you can use that, maybe. Otherwise, you have to go to a realtor. All right, so I'm going to do one more here, and that's Polk County, Florida. But I don't know where Polk is, so I'm just going to kind of Google it. Oh, it's south of Orlando, right? Kind of in the middle of the state, where Legoland is, it looks like. Huh. This is like Polk County, Florida. There we are, down 3%. 2-year change down 1, 3-year change up 3, 4-year change up 33, 6-year change 61%. But you're down the last 2 years, year over year. Prices look like they're definitely softening there. I would guess from a lot of new construction. Shift since the peak, 4.1% down. But again, I guess in summary today, real estate's hyper local. You can kind of look and see Florida, the Southwest, Gulf, definitely hurting more. Some of the desert areas, mountain states, than the Midwest and Northeast. So that's my stuff today. Hey, you guys have been great. Hit the like button. Don't be a freeloader. If you joined us today on the live, or if you're watching the replay, all I ask is that you hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the Housing Nerd. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. I'm not worried about it. I'm just thankful for your time. And I hope you have a great day. Disclaimer, or not disclaimer. Be on the lookout. Bolo, be on the lookout for this. I'm doing a great FHA video this week. A video about FHA and a massive ticking time bomb with FHA mortgages that you're not seeing in many other areas of the media. So I'm doing that video this week. I'm also doing a new home video is going to launch on some new home information and kind of analysis there. I actually was toured like a subdivision here locally and talk about that. And then I have an Ohio only video coming out. So a lot of stuff from the Housing Nerd. And if you have a suggestion about a video, email me, put it in the comments, whatever. And I hope you have a great day. I'm the Housing Nerd, and I'm out.